Well, hello guys. As part of National Inclusion Week, we're having a chance to have conversations with people that we normally wouldn't cross paths with and learn a bit about their journeys and the similarities as well in our paths. And today I have the honour of speaking to Alex Danson-Bennett, MBE, England and Great Britain hockey legend. Her CV is incredible. Over 200 caps for England, 4 Commonwealth medals and a European Championship title with England. And she also won a bronze at London 2012 and a gold, Olympic gold at Rio in 2016. I think I used to see you at Bisham Abbey, which was an English Institute of Sport training venue. I'd be up in the gym a lot and I would see you guys for sure. And I'm sure I saw you there.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right, and I thought exactly the same. Obviously, when I knew you were connecting, so I was there for about 20 years over my span of my career. But you're right. I mean, I almost wish I was back playing sport now, when there's, I think, better connectivity between all the sports teams. So we were very much in a hockey bubble. You're in the cricket bubble. It completely different to now. But yeah, I loved that venue. It was great to know other athletes. It was a great place to train, and yeah, lots and lots of fond memories. Some not so fond as well, of course.
Anyway, it'd be good to know, and just unpick our journeys really. And how did you get into hockey and the world of sport? Was it something that was kind of laid out for you? Did you have to search it out? How did it start?
So, almost a combination of the both. I remember seeing a game of hockey being played locally, and I remember pestering my mum, "Can I go along? Can I go along?" And she looked into it. She was like, "Sorry, Al, but it's just for the boys. It's just the boys' team." So I was just so frustrated by that. I was like, "That's not fair." And I persuaded mum to buy me a hockey stick, and we just played in the back garden. So myself, I've got an older brother and a younger sister. We were super, super competitive as kids, and we just loved playing. And I think that's where my love for the game started. I then went to secondary school. We played there, and then I did later join the club that was the boys' team, but I just played in the boys' team. So I played at that club, and that was my kind of introduction into hockey.
I think things have changed now, but when we both would have started kind of our sporting journeys, the chance for girls to play weren't as regular. I know I started playing as one of the only girls in a lot of boys' environments. And I think that landscape now has completely shifted, right? Being a girl now, you'd mostly have so much more access.
Oh, it's completely different. Back then, I don't know what you wanted to be when you were a kid, but as a 12-year-old, I just wanted to be a PE teacher because I just wanted to play sport. Now you can genuinely speak to a 12-year-old girl. She can be a netball player, a hockey player, a cricket player, a football player, a rugby player. These opportunities, tennis, that they're there, which is amazing. So yeah, the landscape is entirely different.
So I like to ask this sort of question of people. What was the moment that made you commit to hockey as a journey? Like you knew I am going to follow this path and this is going to be the thing I commit my whole life to.
After I got invited to an England under-16 trial, and I was so excited. Pretty much never been away from home. It was 5 days long, and we were competing to play in an England shirt for our junior age group. Honestly, I was terrible. I was like the worst there by a country mile. I remember at the end of the 5 days thinking, well, that's it. I'm never going to play for England. And then the coach sat all of us down and she said, right, I'm going to invite you all back in 6 weeks' time. And I think for me, it was like something just like flipped in my brain. It was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do to get myself noticed in 6 weeks? And I went home, and my poor mum and dad, they are angels. I woke them up every day before school and said, right, and got them to take me running. And so they'd cycle, I'd run. And went back to the trial 6 weeks later. It gave me the best start. So I think it taught me, the most talented aren't always the most successful. It's the ones, I was there saying, I will work really hard for you, teach me the skills, give me everything I need to learn. And I think that was a great start for me. That laid my foundation, and it gave me that inner drive. Like, this was exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I was going to have to work hard.
Would we have got on if we played together? And I have to ask you this question. My personality style. I was very flair and flow. I loved playing cricket so much, the actual sport of cricket. But the disciplines of the gym and the psychology and the personal development, I would say it took me a long time to get my head around that. I wanted to be free, and then we had all this sort of discipline part. What were you? Were you a freestyler, or were you much more focused?
I've no doubt, Ebony, we get on. However, there's probably a part of you that hates me as well. I think I was definitely that athlete that was. I was so diligent about. I loved the training side of things. So I didn't only love the competition, which is almost the obvious. I loved the data. I loved all of the testing that we do. It was very simple when during my career. It was, will this make me a better athlete or will it not? And if it didn't, most of the time I wouldn't do it. And if it did, I was like, yeah, come on, let's do that then. So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm sure we would have got on like a house on fire. But I was like driven by the detail. And it's funny now, I retired back in February. I had a really serious head injury that kept me out of the game for a long time. And people kept saying to me, oh, I'm so sorry about how I've retired. And I was like, no, I genuinely have no regrets about my career. So although I'd say my life balance now, and ask my husband, my life balance now is much better. But I can kind of look back over my career and I know I gave it everything. I know I lived it to the kind of best that I possibly could.
When you mentioned the word life balance, I wouldn't say I knew what that word was until I retired. So as an athlete, it felt like you're in a wind tunnel, it's head down, everyone is on this train to try and win. And it's not that you weren't aware that there was family and friends and stuff like that outside, but it just never really got in the way of anything. And then as I've got older, I've realised, oh, wow, you've got to have a few things around. How did you find life balance?
I definitely didn't progress other areas of my life because anything that got in my way was like, no, I'm focused on this Commonwealth, this Olympics, this World Cup. And actually, my biggest change came in 2018. We had a home World Cup, which was incredible. Led the team out. We didn't do as well as we'd hoped. And my husband had booked and persuaded. I mean, I didn't even used to take a holiday. He booked a trip of a lifetime to Kenya. And unfortunately, I had an accident and I hit the back of my head. And the way that injury unfolded over the next 2 years was I came back and I got progressively worse and worse and worse. To the point where I was hospitalised. I could hardly hold a conversation, tolerate any light, noise, sound. And almost overnight, I was removed from the environment I'd always been in. And for the first probably few months of that, being really, really very unwell, all I could think about was, I need to get back to hockey. I need to get back we've got a Champions Trophy in China, then we've got Europeans, and we've got the Olympics, 2 years, a year later. And actually, it wasn't until my health didn't progress that I started to realise around balance and how important my family was. We joke now, it's not coincidence, since I hit my head, we've got married, we're expecting our first baby, I've now retired. So it was almost like, and I'm not suggesting this is the way to get balance, don't go and hit your head, it's not advisable. It just it was my catalyst for a different perspective, but it was kind of forced upon me. And we kind of now say it was the best, worst thing that ever happened, because it did give me perspective, your family and the support, the team around you.
I felt purpose was the thing that helped with a lot of our success. So I'm looking at the year where we won the World Cup, World T20, the Ashes, all in a year. And we knew it was more than just about us as individuals or just us as a team. It was representing your family, your country, that bigger piece. And I don't know if you related to how important purpose was to connect the vision of all the different people within your environment and to continually strive.
Rio 2016 was probably, we'd always set targets. We had a vision. Of course, we wanted to win. Don't get me wrong, we wanted to be the first women's hockey team ever to win an Olympic gold medal. But it was bigger than that. It was about going down in history, in doing so, about creating history for our younger people that would come into the sport. At school, you couldn't even be a hockey player. And so we wanted to make sure we were the outfit and we were the team and we were the women that people looked in on in Rio and were like, yeah, we want to be a part of that.
Specifically being a female athlete, did that add to your purpose? I always felt that I knew we were always selling our sport, or, anytime a young girl who maybe hadn't seen that was possible is going to be inspired. That always gave me a little bit extra. Like, we are the underdogs as such, don't get the representation, but what we're doing can really change the landscape for women.
The Cricket World Cup recently, the Hockey World Cup recently, all of those, those events where there are young girls and young boys watching, and the more visibility there is amongst all women's sport, the better the health of our young people and the landscape that they're coming into will be. So yeah, I loved that side of it. I loved knowing that young people are coming into the game, and more than anything, I want our game to thrive and grow, and that requires our young people to be playing.
Well, we're coming towards the end, but I have to ask this question: of all the long list of things you've achieved, we're going through the list. I'm looking at it as we speak. What's the number one thing that you really find as your pinnacle moment of your career?
So I would have to say the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. When we played Holland in the final, I felt like for that moment in time, we were transcending our sport. We were the underdogs. We weren't supposed to win. When we were announced as Olympic champions, and still sometimes I can't believe it, we stood on the podium and I just felt, you have something you want to achieve. You go out with it. You go at it with everything you have. You have the most incredible team of people behind you, and for us, our dream came true. So for me, Rio made me believe in hard work does really pay off.
Amazing. What a brilliant journey you've had. Well, look, as a part of National Inclusion Week, we've had a chance to have an awesome conversation. I feel connected to you, even though, we haven't had that connection. So thank you so much for sharing your time today.
As do I, Ebony. It's been absolutely brilliant. I hope to chat again very soon.
Thank you.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.